Hi, everyone, and welcome to week 3, module 2 of Digital Civic Engagement. So, your concepts and ideas that you are picking out either through the framework or through the what you are responding to each other's discussion posts have not only been fascinating, but it's also fascinating to watch what trends come to the top. Almost everyone, right? At the end of the discussion, you're commenting on this two things that basically to be involved digitally, it needs to be useful, right? We want to pay our speeding ticket online. We don't want to go to the DMV. And that it also has to connect. A lot of you are talking about like the social concepts of connection through social media and such, and that it just wants to connect. And it's got me thinking that just have like people have like side pieces. I feel like we have these people who will only be our friends online where we're like, I don't want to actually meet you, versus the ones that we're face to face. This is all to say, we're going to get way more personal this week because we've looked at the outside, right? We've looked at like, all right, what are like the larger ideas of this? And in module 2, we're going to bring it to the inside. It's time to go inside. All right. And how that goes. So I'm going to run through what you're doing here. And I will say all of your work, the framework, the pieces that I've read thus far, super thorough, incredibly thoughtful. You're doing exactly what you want to do for the class. If you're not, I've mentioned that and I'm saying, you need to go a little bit deeper here. You need to think larger because all of these things are going to set the foundation for that community project. So we want to make sure we have these. All right. So just like the other modules, you're going to have your preheat. So this preheat is going to take you into a Qualtrics survey. So it's going to take you into a survey. Here's the important part. You have to do it in one sitting. Otherwise, they'll just erase your answers. So make sure you have about 15 to 20 minutes set aside to do this survey. This survey is going to start getting into, no one's going to be able to see this, right? Just me. And I will publish the information, but I'm not going to say who says it. So be as honest as you can about this, but it's going to go into this idea of like, why do we use data or digital engagements socially, and what happens when we have to do it civically, and how does that change? So this preheat is going to get you thinking about that, and it's going to ask you questions in that regard. Then, of course, after you have your preheat, it'll give you the overview of what you're going to do in this, and also the focus and the learning outcomes that you're going to have from this module. And then we're going to get into our media links and our readings. So we're going to add to that best practices document again. It's looking great. And I give you 3 different entities that you can go into, 3 digital platforms. If you want to do health organization, more like public health and such, we've got the New Orleans Health Organization of Institute Women and Ethnic Studies. If you want to do more like how is it that people engage digitally through with art and fine art, this is motifs and themes in the Central European fine art with computer vision. But what's really interesting is this site was the winner. So it was WSJ for the best websites in regard to integration and interaction with people. And then WSJ is all about innovators. So if you're really interested into influencers, innovators, etc., this is the website that breaks it. Choose just one of them and then add into that best practices document. By the end, like I said, it's going to be a mess right now. And by the end, we'll just curate it all. Then you've got 2 readings. Make sure to check. This one, you're only reading pages 172 to 185. In other words, you're only reading the abstract, the introduction, and the results, right? So you don't have to read the entire thing. Just read the abstract, the introduction, and the results of this. All right. And then the disability hacktivism, go ahead and read that piece. It's an amazing piece, all about hacking the classroom in regard to looks at specifically students with autism and the idea of digital engagement with that. After that, you will have a 5 question quiz that's going to be over the readings. And then for the activity, your group project. So all of you did your individual parts on that framework for V, which are making excellent suggestions and observations. Like the fact that you know that it's hyper local, all of these things, like they have to go into creating that website. So you're going to use your exact same teams that you had as last week, right? So you're already in communication with each other. Then as a team, you can do this in a Google Doc, however, because you're eventually going to submit it. You are going to make a plus and minus kind of breakdown column for V. In the plus is like where the V is engaging their audience in a great effective manner. Those are going to be in the plus Then give 5 points of observation in that plus column and make these really specific, obviously. All right. Then in the negative, we're thinking of this because, we're positive. What can they improve on? Give them 5 points of observation of where they could improve. And then below the columns, right? So you got these two columns. I want you to write your solution suggestion section. All right. So this week in the readings, what you're going to read is what you're going to do is you're going to come up with a 3 point suggestion plan for Vianola V that addresses the following question. So I've got it here. How can Vianola V more effectively engage their audience? And need to include the following in your 3 post solution, right? So make sure it's really, really specific. And I give you an example of what it should look like. All right. So you're going to submit this plus minus column evaluation form. But here's the thing, only one person on your team needs to submit it. You don't all have to submit it, just one person on your team. If you want this to be the captain, that's fine. Or you can just choose whoever's going to submit it. And then just put all your team members' names at the top of it. That way I can get everyone credit, but only one person has to turn it in. All right. So that's your project for the week. And then, of course, we'll have the discussion board. If you have any questions, no questions thus far. But if you have any questions, post them here. And also just email me. All of you, or many of you, have been emailing me, which is great. I'll get back to you. You're doing an awesome job. And I'm loving hearing what you're thinking about with this engagement because I think it's going to make the best community projects, which we're not going to be talking to about until module 3 and module 4. But you should know those are completely remote. Some people have asked that question. So just know those projects are completely remote and we'll talk about how you're going to do them. All right. Have a great weekend and I will talk to you next Friday. Bye.